Oh, that was... Okay, don't make me laugh. That hurts. You blew your nose right when I hit record.
You're talking to the wrong guy if you don't want me to make you laugh.
Okay, so I wanted to record badly, even though I'm just not in a very good place right now because it's our 40th episode.
Woo!
But John, for you, I'm going to explain kind of how I'm feeling right now.
Do it.
I don't know, and maybe so, but I don't know if our lady listeners will understand this a lot. But the way I feel right now is that someone came up and kicked me in the bad place hard enough that I feel like I'm, folded over. But then I have enough gas inside of me that just won't come out the entire time that's happening. And you're not really getting any relief. So that's kind of how I feel right now.
Today would not be a good day to hire a hooker for you. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. It's probably not a good day for a lot of things. Yeah. So everyone out there, when the doctor says, hey, you need to take a week off, he doesn't mean 5 days. He really means you need to take a full 7 days off. Because I even looked at my wife yesterday and said, hey, I don't know why I'm not doing better than I am. They said, give it a week. And she's like, it's only been 4 days. Yeah, but I should be okay by now. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty in my household. I can get up and walk around and I'm good there. I have some pain meds, but I don't like taking them because, why I think they're pain medication is because they just put you to sleep so you don't realize you're in pain. I don't really feel like it's getting rid of the pain. So that's just kind of how it is. And yeah, so, but I wanted to, like I said, I want to keep it short today, but I did want to talk to our audience because for some reason I like episodes that end in 10 or are in the tens. And when this is our 40th episode, and I just feel like our listeners do deserve to hear from us, especially then.
So explain, just in case there is one person on the planet that doesn't know what you just went through. Explain your procedure.
I had a bilateral inguinal hernia surgery, which means I had a hernia on both sides. And in fact, while they were in repairing the two hernias they knew about, they found a third and repaired that one. So my right side is a lot worse than my left side right now. Because
did you get like a buy two get one free deal or no?
Oh no, I definitely had to pay for it. It was not fun. Thank goodness for health savings accounts, HSAs. I used to be kind of against them when they first came to be a little bit popular, but I don't think I could live without one now. I absolutely love my HSA.
Awesome, me too.
And they're not sponsoring us either.
No, they should be.
They should be, absolutely. Wow. Help me get another surgery for free. No, I really don't want another one.
No, I'm sure you don't. So I've promised not to be funny. So most of you will say, well, how is that different?
Oh, don't worry. I'll just not listen to you, but that's not unusual either.
How's that different?
Exactly.
But what I am going to do is relate to the audience, Nick, your text to me when you got out of surgery.
Okay.
You may or may not remember this.
I remember it very well. In fact, before you say that, I have been impressed. One of my fears when going under and when getting the pain medication was being out of my head, which is another reason I don't like taking the pain medication. Yep. I don't like to be out of my head. I want to be able to be conscious and cognizant of everything that's happening around me. And I've actually been pretty impressed that I remember going to sleep. I remember waking up, and I remember all the texts that I did. My wife would not have let me have my phone if I wasn't all there because she was in charge of it. She had it the entire time.
Not the entire time.
She was standing next to me when I texted you. So go ahead and read it.
It says from Nick, I made it! ! I'm alive. Naked in recovery room, texting when maybe I shouldn't, but I'm alive.
Yep.
And I said, yay! Well, all but the naked part. I hope you're at least wearing a gown. Nick said, I was not sure where it went.
Yeah, that hurt.
And then you said,
so
Jennifer is taking my phone away from me now. I think she thinks I will make an ass of myself. Too late.
Yep.
All in caps.
Yep.
And so I replied by saying,
Yeah.
ha, you're already back to your nurse dancing gig. You must be feeling better.
That's
and
right.
then I said, hi, Jennifer.
That's right.
And recovers.
So the hospital experience was unique for me, and I'm going to sound like a bigger asshole than I always do when I'm saying this. But I grew up, like I've told our listeners before, I grew up with a physician for a stepfather, and my mom also worked in the hospital. I knew all the people that worked in all of the hospitals that they worked in. So I was just, everyone knew me, and I still have people that come up to me who are much older saying, I remember you when you were this tall, type of thing, right? So anytime I had a procedure when I was younger, it was very, very, I don't even know how to describe it. I had a private room, I knew the doctors, I knew the nurses, everyone was very on it. It was, and I'm not saying the doctors at this hospital weren't on it. They were very, very good. But when I went to have this procedure, this was the first time I've ever had it in a hospital that I didn't know, with staff that I had no idea, with the exception of my doctor, who I only met once. I had no idea who these people were. It was a very unique experience because you walk in, you check in at 6 a.m. at a desk, then they send you to another desk to fill out all your paperwork if you hadn't done it already, which I had, so I didn't really have to stay there long. You pay for it because you pay up front. And then you go and you sit, and then they come and get you in a group of people. So I had another 6 or 7 people. Yeah, you pay up front. I had 6 or 7 people in a group. They walk you to the elevator, they take you upstairs, and then they walk you into this room. And they're not walls, they're just dividers, cloth dividers, like you would imagine in an ER. And then they point you to the area you're supposed to go into. You walk in, they close the curtain, they say, undress. They get you in the bed, they hook you up to an IV, and then you just sit there and you wait, and you wait. And then every once in a while, a nurse or a doctor will come in, the anesthesiologist will ask you questions. And of course, my wife's embarrassed the whole time because all I'm doing is joking with these people. And I'm the comedian on the floor. Everyone else is in pain. Guy next to us, they had to put up a sign that says contagion, so don't enter without proper precaution. So my wife is freaking out. If my mom were there, I told her, I said, if my mom were here right now, she would be raising holy hell, and we would be in a private room right now. I just know that. And I was fine. It didn't bother me, but my wife was starting to get that look of terror on her face. So they do that. You put your gown on, you get into bed. Now, my wife, I wish she would have taken a picture. She didn't, but my wife was making fun of me and still making fun of me because the bed was too short. So my feet were hanging off the end of the bed. Nurse said, don't worry about it. When they get into the operating table, they're just going to move them anyways. Do it.
5'6", so I'm surprised.
I know, right? I'm at least 5'11".
Were you in
I
the
tell
children?
people 6 feet. I think so. No, we were on the opposite side of the campus. But anyway, so we're in this a whole bunch of people. All you're hearing is people, in pain and talking to their doctors and stuff. And I'm just sitting there patiently waiting to go. They come in, they give me my shots, and they start to knock me out, and I get rolled in. And I remember rolling into the operating room going, this hallway is really messy. Where are they? Are they taking me to like the furnace room or something? Excuse me. We go in. Now, my surgery was a robotic surgery. So they roll you in. They put a mask on me, say, okay, breathe deeply. I'm like, okay, great. And I can see in front of me this octopus thing, this big, huge robot octopus thing. And I'm like, okay, that must be what's doing my. Next thing I remember is waking up to the operating room. Now, back up just a little bit. My wife did tell the operating nurse that the last time I went under, I hit on the nurse. She was really excited. So when I woke up, the first thing I see is the nurse in front of me dancing, going, remember me? Remember me? So I had to think of something really quick. So I looked at her and I said, you ever watch Friends? She's like, yeah. I said, how you doing? Just to make her feel better. And then they rolled me into, they gave me this little thing. So now this is going to get a little gross. So if you guys are squeamish, don't listen to this. So they gave me you've heard the term give you a pot to piss in, or I don't have a pot to piss in, right?
Yes.
before they let you leave the hospital, your one and only thing you have to do is pee. They don't let you stand up to pee. They give you this little tub and they tell you to pee in the little tub. Well, the very first thing after I did the how you doing, I woke up and I said, I have to pee. Even though I had been catheterized the entire time. They said, that's normal. I said, no, I really have to pee. So they gave me one and I went right ahead and peed in it because I had to go badly. So I peed, right? So they let me keep it there. They rolled me into recovery. The nurse comes in and said, okay, now the next thing you have to do, she explains that I have to pee before I can leave, right? So she grabs another tub and I said, I already have one. And so and she's like, oh, really? Oh, okay. So she reaches down to grab it and pulls it out, but didn't realize that I had actually peed in it. So she poured the whole contents on me and on the bed. Yeah. Yeah. And then I said, she's like, oh, you must not have peed. I'm like, yes, I did. It's all over me now. Yeah. So she helped me clean that up and then she gave me another one. And then we sat there for another 2 hours. Well, I drifted in and out. I was sleepy. So I fell asleep a couple of times, listened to some of my neighbors next to me. I had some characters. There were a guy that was right next to me. Actually, he was on his ATV and a deer, rammed him and knocked him off his ATV and shattered his kneecap.
Oh,
so he was sitting next to me, and I mean, he was not necessarily all there, and he was really funny to talk to, but he was pissed for the same reason that he had to wait to even be let out of recovery until he peed. So we were conversing about that the entire time. So that was, and then they just, after I could prove that I could pee again, because it took me a while because I hadn't really had anything to drink except for the saline they had pumping into my body. I had already peed, but I obviously hadn't proved it because she didn't see any. It was still all over me. So I finally did, and they finally let me go. So they wheeled me out to the car. I got right into the car, and we came home. And it's been rough ever since.
So just real quick question, because I want to get to how you're feeling currently and all of that. But did you tell the ATV guy about your golden shower from the nurse?
I did. Yep.
Okay.
I did.
What the heck?
I know. Well, in the recovery room, it was just like the pre-op room. So post-op and pre-op were the same thing. It was a big room in a half circle with a whole bunch of dividers, and every time the nurse was working on the guy next to me, she was hitting my bed with her butt through the curtain.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not going to say they were great people. They were very knowledgeable. They were fun. I had a lot of fun with them because I was cracking up the whole time, or trying to, because I guess that's my nervous nature, is to try to make jokes. They were great people. They did a great job, but it was just a little unusual for me. Like I said, growing up the way I did, to be in an environment like that.
You were in the lap of hospital luxury as a kid.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And so when the nurse would, and I'm envisioning this, as I'm sure our listeners are, when the nurse like bumped into your bed through the curtain with her butt, I'm guessing, did she do like a whoop, 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 Three Stooges sort of a thing?
No.
Or did she not?
No, not at all. Didn't even get a sorry through the curtain.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, you have okay. So a couple of unusual things. When you said you had to pay in advance, is that? I mean, I'm relatively familiar with your insurance because it's mine, or at least in the same category. I didn't realize that was. You seriously had to pay in full before they started?
Not in full, no. You have to pay up your out of pocket. So the difference between my out of pocket before my insurance would pick up, I had to pay that.
That's the HSA.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, the HSA is awesome. And if you're listening and don't have one, truly, before tax replenishment, it is awesome. And it really, and I don't mean this in a way other than surprise, it really piles up faster than
it does. It really does. And when I was swiping that card, I literally looked at the lady and said, there goes my LASIK surgery.
Well, if you would have played your cards, you could have done. I think they had a special on 3 hernias, buy 3 hernias, get LASIK free.
Get a LASIK for free? Yeah. I was in the wrong wing of the hospital, unfortunately.
You don't want them to mix up the two.
I don't want to see another robot come in anywhere near me for a while.
Your friend, the octopus. So did you do any robot moves while you were in, to try and become friendly with the octopus robot?
No, when I was in there, I was pretty much unable to move. That's one thing I do remember is when they put the mask on me, I couldn't move anything. I was already pretty much asleep by the time they rolled me in. I caught glimpses. I was actually surprised at how fast I fell asleep.
Yeah, if you've never had anesthesia before, and I'm speaking to everybody, of course, it's amazing the first time or two, because truly you're wide awake and, count backwards from 10 or something. 10, 9, boom.
Yeah, I didn't even get to the 10, 9.
Yeah, no.
They said, they put this mask on me and said, okay, breathe deeply. And I said, okay. And the next thing I remember was waking up.
Well, that's wow. And anybody who's been through it can appreciate all of that, except maybe perhaps the dumping the bedpan. But
right. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of people listening to this going, "Oh, Nick, you're such a wuss. I went through much worse than that." And I'm sure they have.
Oh, and for both of us, I'm sure. Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is just my experience. This is my life, guys. It's my truth.
And I've earned wow.
Yeah. I went there.
So
totally did.
Yeah, this is going to start the new U2 movement, probably.
Yeah, yeah. The Me Too. No, we can't call it Me Too. The U2.
No, you got to call it U2.
The U2 movement. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that happened to you? Yeah, you too.
Yeah. Ouch. You make me laugh.
You're welcome. Yeah. So, did you tell any prepared jokes, or were you just being your normal funny self?
Well, I was being my normal weird self, and people laughed.
Well, you're funny.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't try to be funny. I just try to be myself. Again, I know my truth. Well, just looking at me makes a lot of people laugh. So we're good there.
True. Well, not anymore. Now that you've had the, again, I think did you get a vasectomy while they were in there?
No, but that was funny. So the doctor went down to the waiting room to tell my wife when I was out how everything went. And one of the first things that he told her was, we got to talk about the doctor here in a second. The first thing he told her was, we looked at everything. We didn't snip anything. Everything looked good. All reproductive organs all looked healthy and fine. We didn't damage anything there. And she just kind of looked at him just strangely. I said, what did you tell him? She said, I didn't say anything. Like, why not? That was ripe for comedy genius right there.
Yeah.
She's like, I couldn't think fast enough. So yeah.
Oh, come on.
I know. I was like,
married to you, and I promise you, she thinks fast a lot.
Oh, she probably thinks faster than I do. I'm sure of it. But yeah, so that was comedy gold right there. She'd been waiting for a few hours reading her book, so I'm sure she was out of it a little bit. But
I'm sure.
Yeah. But this doctor. So when I explained what this doctor looked like to my wife, she didn't believe me, and so I'm assuming the explanation doesn't come across well. But he is a very good looking man. So if you imagine, he was McDreamy. So, I mean, not the dark hair from, most people will know who McDreamy is. Do you know who McDreamy is?
Isn't that Sex in the City?
No, that's Mr. Big. McDreamy is from, what is the show? It's still on. It's a doctor show, and he's been around for a really long time, but he was actually a child actor, I think, but he's back and he's one of the doctors, and everyone calls him McDreamy because he's a gorgeous doctor, right? This doctor walks in the first time I meet him. I'm like,
Derek Shepard, that's from,
yeah. Derek Shepard, exactly. So this guy walks in and I'm like, okay, you're not a doctor. You're a freaking model.
Wow.
And so I told my wife about that, and she didn't believe me. And then so he walks in, and he only spent about 30 seconds in my little, I don't even want to call it a room, my little space during pre-op to introduce himself to my wife and to just kind of go over the last minute things with me. And my wife, I just looked over at her, and she's just like white-faced because, I mean, this guy is gorgeous. And I mean, he should not be a doctor. And so when he left, I'm like, honey, I would not mind if you wanted to, before the operation, after the operation, in your future, go ahead. I can't deny you that. And she just kind of watched him walk out. It was funny. That was about it.
Okay, so all right, a couple of questions on that.
She's trying to make me feel better by saying that she's denying the fact that he looked good, but I know she thought so. Because her first reaction was all right.
So a couple questions, because to me this is comedy gold as well. So before you were smitten with this doctor, because you obviously were, and I know you're saying it, and people are going, okay, that sounds a little closety.
Okay, keep in mind, I spent many years as a photographer and videographer. I look at people and I know what looks good, and I am not afraid to say it because I'm perfectly comfortable saying it.
Because I mean, you had a very similar reaction when you and I met.
That's exactly it. Sure,
but yours, that was more of a, I don't know, a vomitous sort of.
I was going to say, I wasn't going to say it, but I was thinking it.
I'm here to help. But so anyway, you and your new boyfriend, so Jennifer just pretended not to have any attraction to him?
Yes, she pretended poorly.
Has she asked you to put on a lab coat or anything like that?
No, not at all.
Do you have a lab coat?
Not for a few years. No, when we moved, I got rid of it.
You got rid of it?
It was getting a little old, a little tattered.
What were you using it for?
What you use lab coats for? Science stuff.
Oh, science stuff. Okay.
Science.
All right.
Yeah, I was playing doctor.
You're either going
anyway. Okay, we're losing audience now. So let's.
Not. I don't think so. I think doctors are starting to tune in now, especially the hot ones.
Right.
Yeah.
So now the really cool thing is my wounds. So because it was robotic, I don't have a large wound. I have 4 very small wounds.
Okay.
And when I say small, they're about, I'm going to look because I don't remember how big they are. They're about 1.5 inches a piece. Okay. And there's one right above my belly button, and then 2 on either side, and then 1 up above that just a little bit. And that one's more of a dot. I think that's where they inflated me, because I heard they inflate you with gas, which is why you feel so gassy.
Premium.
And they, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's definitely premium unleaded, or very much leaded, depending on who you are or who you talk to. But so instead of bandaging, which was great because I am a shower fiend. I love to be clean. I love to take showers, but you're not supposed to, after surgery, take showers for a certain amount of time. But if they glue your wounds, so they stitch them and then they put glue on it instead of bandages, you can actually take a shower within 48 hours. And that's what they did. So my belly is completely shaved and swollen, so it's a little bigger than normal. My daughter.
Anybody else get a little hot out there?
Yeah, right. My daughter loves looking at it. My wife, every time she looks at it, she almost goes and pukes. But the glue is on there, so you can see everything, and it's really kind of neat because the wounds don't hurt at all, and that's not where the pain is at all. The upper stomach is not hurting; it's all lower. But it's really neat how they did that. And I was luckily, after 48 hours, allowed to take a shower after being covered in my own urine.
Yes.
Do you like how I left that one?
Yeah, that was great.
I just left
Everybody
that was good.
Just delighted.
Everyone just went, yeah, tune out.
Yeah, covered in urine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know how our friend Bill often will listen to these podcasts while he's running or exercising or whatever. Normally
he's throwing up in the bushes right now.
Laughs. Now he's hurling probably because of your urine talk. Hey, welcome to the urine talk episode, everybody.
It's the 40th episode, and we're going to talk about urine.
Yeah, it's the PP episode.
Yeah. We should really move on to, because we haven't digressed at all, so we need to go on to another topic.
I can't
before I pass out, because I'm about to fall asleep again.
I hope it's only you and not our listeners.
Right? No, it's definitely me.
I want to know just a little more about the robot, because actually I'm actually interested in all of that, how it all works.
You're interested in robotics?
Well, a little bit. Hold on. There we go.
Nice. Now we're going to have to pay another fine for that.
Well, no, it could have been any song. That could have been a song, that I just made up.
Could have been. Very, very well could have been.
Hey, yep. Once we get over, 25 listeners, we are going to be in trouble.
We're at 26.
Woohoo! All right. You have talked about other topics. I like this one. I think, first of all,
well, it's because it's all focused on me and making fun of my weaknesses, my fallibility.
Well, let's face it, that is a target-rich environment.
It really is. I can't deny that.
All right. We have talked about a million things in our other podcast. What do we do again?
Podcasts, yes.
And I'm just wondering if this is going to change, the surgery is going to change anything. When you're done or when you heal, do you envision that? I mean, because you were kind of in pain from this before, right?
Yes.
Are you going to be doing
not necessarily in pain, just very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So will it change? Do you think you'll be more active now post-surgery?
Oh, I hope so. I mean, that was the whole reason. If I didn't want to be more active, I wouldn't have done it. It wasn't like it was life-threatening or anything.
Well, no, but it was a little scary, let's face it. I've never had
it was very scary.
Anything like that, but just not knowing. And if you have, I would think if you have some sort of a rupture or whatever,
it was kind of a joke. It can be life-threatening. Mine was not necessarily life-threatening, but it could progress to a life-threatening thing. So yes.
So that's pretty scary. So yeah, you obviously want to get it done, but is there something that you enjoy doing that you haven't been able to as much with this?
Well, it's fall and it's starting finally to cool down in Middle Tennessee. So I'm looking forward to being able to go hiking again. That was something that we did a lot, and that was what was causing me a lot. Most of the discomfort initially was walking long distances, besides my bad foot, because I do have one of those that I still need to be taken care of, but that can wait. That one is definitely not life-threatening. So I am looking forward to being able to do that. It not until recently did it bother me on the golf course, but it had started a little bit. So I can't really say I look forward to getting back to that because, like I said, it didn't start bothering me till recently. So I don't have anything.
Does your foot
does not bother me golfing? No.
So what's the foot deal?
Really, is this a whole episode on what's breaking on Nick?
I think it's Nick's maladies. I think we may actually rename the whole series Nick's maladies.
Nick's maladies. I have on my right foot, my first, is it metatarsal?
Okay.
Yeah, because metacarpal is hand, right?
Sure.
It's the long bone on my big toe. So before the big toe.
Say which pinky it is?
It's not pinky, it's a toe.
Piggy.
No, it's my big toe.
So it's the piggy.
Oh, the piggy.
This little piggy goes to market.
The big
this
piggy.
Little piggy stayed home.
Yes.
This little piggy had, was it
roast
French?
Roast beef.
French bread, I was going to say.
Wow.
This little piggy had none. This little piggy went.
Wee, all the way home, just like me in my bed.
So it's the piggy that went to market. Wow.
Yeah, the piggy that went to market. So it's the big toe. So there's the long bone that goes for pretty much from your ankle to your toe, and that's where that joint is.
Yep.
My bone is actually too long. So it's pushing on the joint, and I can't bend my big toe back as far as I need to. So after having that for a long time, it just creates pain, and the joint is wearing out because it just can't move. It can't go anywhere. So what needs to happen is I need to have the big bone, the long bone, shortened. So it relieves the joint and allows my toe to move freely.
We should just say it that way, because I think just talking about it as though I need to have my long bone shortened probably is something that is going to make you very popular. So that sounds painful. And does it affect your other foot at all or no?
No, not at all. No, but right now I have. Say what?
Is it a common surgery?
It is not a common surgery. Okay. Not necessarily.
But simple.
But it also, so even though I'm in a lot of pain, and the doctor here said, give it a week before you really start resuming any activity. walk around, but don't drive a car, don't do any of this, don't work, basically, which is hard for me to do.
Yep.
And so anyway, this foot surgery takes you out for 6 weeks.
Oh.
And it's my right foot, so I can't drive even with a boot on.
Yeah, I've seen you drive. You're not that good with or without a boot.
I'm really not, no. Yeah. I need the autonomous vehicles to come quickly. That's not true. I love driving. Driving is one of my favorite things to do.
Well, and you do enough of it, and I feel the same way you do, and maybe we're just old school. I like some of the benefits of the autonomy, but I'm not ready for that full time at all.
Right. I think once you get on an interstate where it's pretty much straight and nothing for hours and hours and hours, when you're too bored of your podcast and you actually want to pull out your computer and work, it's a lot easier if the car is driving itself than when you're driving and typing on your computer.
Well, we could podcast while your car is driving you.
You could. Well, not in my car. My car is too noisy. Maybe your car.
maybe not.
Maybe the podcast can buy us a couple of Maybachs. That'll be nice and quiet.
That's a really, just because of the noise levels.
Exactly. That's the only reason. I mean, it's not because they're, a couple $100,000 cars.
Crazily expensive. Yes. Yeah, I think that's, I have a buddy who owns a Tesla, and he's got the autopilot option.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there's something on the steering wheel that you have to squeeze every so often to let the car know you're still there. And it will take itself out of autopilot if you don't do it. And he told me about a guy who he met at a charging station I think he was driving to Indy. And he had these two like flexible stress balls, and he gave them to him. He said, stick them inside your wheel.
Oh, no.
And it will allow the vehicle to all the time think you're squeezing onto and so this guy's some sort of an engineer or whatever, and came up with this as a fix. So the car remains, as long as he wants it, in autopilot without those check-in faces.
That is crazy. That's genius.
Well, it kind of is a simple solution to it, but I'm sure they have to do it for
safety.
Well, safety.
I mean, you don't want someone falling asleep at the wheel. I mean, it's still an imperfect science.
They don't want to be held responsible for it either.
That too. Yeah.
If you own the car, and and he claims that you get used to it, and it's kind of awesome because you can check your emails while the car's going, and that's how good it is at maintaining position. And Tesla actually just bought another company. The name escapes me, but they're actually going to take an entirely different method of autonomous driving, and it's the first ever apparently that no one else uses. So might be interesting.
That'd be interesting. I'm interested to see a lot of this stuff. I'm sure you saw in the news that Amazon, who had already invested $500,000 or $500 million in the truck company Rivian, they just did an order for 100,000 Rivian trucks. I mean, this truck hasn't even rolled off the assembly line yet, and they're already making orders for it.
And they're autonomous, right?
They're not autonomous. They're electric.
Oh, okay.
But they have some of the same autonomous technology in them that Tesla has.
Well, and all of that stuff, I would imagine, can be upmoded to, change to autonomy when it becomes available.
Yeah, it's going to be a software upgrade. Right. Pretty soon our car. And it's not like there's always been that rumor, I guess. I don't know if rumor is the right word, but there's always been that rumor that auto manufacturers build cars that will go obsolete, so you buy another one later. But it will definitely ring true with a lot of these cars. It's going to be kind of like your iPhone, where the technology in it is great up until a point, and every time it gets upgraded, you just lose a little bit more until it's to the point where it's so obsolete you're forced to go buy another one.
Well, that's got to be part of the marketing plan, and wasn't it you that told me about the Autobahn in Germany and how it was built, and didn't we have that conversation or no?
It feels like we have, because I've talked about it before, but I don't remember the conversation.
Well, that's because you were probably under anesthesia.
Probably, yeah. I was texting you naked from my hospital bed.
What a shock! Hey, I have the proof, and I will keep that. But no, just saying how when they built the Autobahn, they made it so thick, so deep, so to speak, that even with the changing temperatures in Germany, it did not damage the road, and so
Right.
you don't
yeah.
have.
Well, it was. Go ahead. I was going to say it's partly because of that, and partly because they were driving tanks on it. The Autobahn is Hitler's highway, and it was designed, which is what our interstate system is designed after, and it was designed to be that thick to withstand all of the
weight, sure,
the troops and weight from tanks and stuff like
that.
So
the Autobahn is much thicker than the interstate system here.
Yes,
much thicker, and so therefore we're constantly repairing and replacing and constructing new highway areas in the interstate, that it's just a never-ending thing. And so it's planned obsolescence, as you mentioned.
Right, exactly. Well, it keeps people employed. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that.
Well, no, although if you did it right, I mean, so are people just dying in Germany because they're not working on the Autobahn constantly? I mean, I'm sure there's more work. It's just not the critical shut down the highway work for
right
months.
But Germany is also much smaller than the United States.
For sure it is. But this is a process that if for 100 years or whatever it is, 70 years, that road has not had to have been replaced. At some point, don't you have to say, maybe we should do something similar to that?
Right. Good point. Very good point.
So I don't know. And again, it's not that there isn't going to be work on local infrastructure and smaller roads. I mean, there's plenty to go around, and there's certainly plenty of work to do.
Have you seen those inventions? Speaking of roads and pulling them up and replacing them, they are developing roads now that are solar roads.
Solar? In what sense?
Solar. So yeah, they lay down the road, and all the road is a solar cell itself.
Okay.
So while people are driving on it, it's actually collecting all the sunshine and turning that into power, and then sending that to power homes and businesses. If they have said, I don't know the science, I don't know if it's true, but they said if we were to replace all of the freeways, just all of the interstate system with these solar cells, they'd be able to power the entire country.
Well, that's not true. But regardless of that, it's all about area with solar, and that's one facet of it. The other facet is that you have to have storage, because it does not go directly into Bob's house if his highway in front of the house or his driveway is all solar. It's you have to cover it, and you have to capture it, and then deliver it from there. I don't know personally all the science. I know some of the scientists and some of the experts who deal with this stuff, and solar and wind in particular. Wind is really a non-entity in terms of actual power. And if you look at all of the windmills or the whatever they're calling them these days, the wind vanes that exist, and we have several of them in Wisconsin, half the time, at least half of them are not moving, and the others are, or maybe slowly, and there's no rhyme nor reason to it. And I've had it explained to me that much of that is just there for funding, because the government on several different layers has determined that this has to be part of your infrastructure process, whether they work or not. So
interesting.
Anyway, it's kind of a conglomeration of things, but understood by people who deal with it every day. And I happen to have a couple friends who do. Anyway, but I think that's a brilliant idea, because if you have even just the ability to do parts of a road and I mean, that's a huge area, and as long as it works without having to repair them constantly, or shut down highways constantly, then I think it would be an awesome thing.
Right. Yes. There's got to be something out there, right? Got to be something.
Yeah, there has to be. How about nuclear roads?
There you go.
All right, now we're talking.
I don't know how that would work.
I don't either.
Well, here's a question. I have been watching a lot of shows, and by the way, I've said this to a lot of people. If you haven't watched or aren't watching Yellowstone with Kevin Costner, oh my God, such a fantastic show.
That's what you said.
This has nothing to do with that show, though. So I've been watching a lot of TV, obviously, because I can't really do much else.
Yep.
And a lot of it from my computer because I've been in bed. This is one of few days. I think yesterday was the first time I really spent any time out of bed.
Wow.
It hasn't been pleasant, as I have mentioned. But I'm not trying to make anyone feel sorry for me,
not gonna
John.
Happen. Not going to happen.
Anyway, I have been watching some YouTube and a few other things, but mostly YouTube. And I completely forgot where I was going with that. There was a program that I had watched that I was going to talk to you about.
Well, Yellowstone.
That I had to do. Oh, no, I remember. Okay, so I watched some programming on Chernobyl.
Oh.
And I watched some programming on Hiroshima.
Wow.
And one thing I don't understand, I do and I don't. I guess I understand the basics, but not necessarily enough to really kind of wrap my head around it. How come, and I know some people are still living near Chernobyl. They have 3 arms and 5 legs, but they're still living there. They really don't. I'm kidding. But there are very few people that live anywhere near that. But Hiroshima has a full population again. I mean, they rebuilt the city and there are people living there, and they don't seem to be having any trouble with that. And I know that the amount of radiation is different, but in Chernobyl, a lot of that is buried or hidden, whereas in Hiroshima, the blast happened up in the air. It didn't even hit the ground. So how are people able to live in Hiroshima and not near Chernobyl?
Let's say
Hiroshima, whatever. And you're breaking up quite badly.
You are breaking up. We're fine. My end is wonderful.
Well, now it is.
See, I just talk more loudly, and I think they automatically send more power to my site.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. Let's send more packets through.
Send me some packets because.
So, John, answer that question for me. We could make a YouTube video for me to watch.
Hey, we should do that.
Why is it?
That'd be great. Have you been looking at any RVs?
No, but I have watched. You turned me on to him. It's the lady that looks like Reese Witherspoon and her husband. They're RVing everywhere. Forget Your Daydream. Is that it?
Oh, them. Okay. Yeah.
They're in Michigan, or they were in Michigan. They went to Mackinac.
Keep Your Daydream. KYD.
Keep Your Daydream. Yeah. They went to Mackinac. Yep. And that was a really cool little series.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're fun people. And surprisingly, you think this couple, it's going to be boring to listen, but they're very well spoken, and you just normal folks going through life in an RV, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
And they went from a travel trailer, I'm sure you've seen that now, to a fifth wheel. Much bigger, and holy cats, substantial, having to learn to drive, really tow it all over again.
Yeah. Well, and he was talking about that. He said it's a lot easier, believe it or not. But I've been told that before, not necessarily that size, but the fact that it's a gooseneck versus a regular tow, or whatever you would call that. I don't even know what you would call
travel
that.
Trailer.
Guess I should know.
Travel trailer.
Yeah. But I guess when you're using a gooseneck, it's a lot easier. My dad used to say that. He had horse trailers. Yeah. And when he switched to gooseneck horse trailers, it was a lot easier for him to pull and back in and stuff.
I've heard that too, and it varies with a with an 8-foot box. It's actually better, apparently, but with a smaller box like mini trucks have these days, it's they have like an articulating setup for it in the bed of the truck. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. But you're right. And I don't know the difference between gooseneck and fifth wheel. I'm not sure if there's a difference.
I have no idea. I was going to say it seems like they have a lot more than 5 wheels on them.
Wow.
That was a joke, everyone.
I mean, sick man.
Thanks.
You're funny.
I'm not sick. I have to tell my daughter this all the time. I'm not sick. I'm injured. Injured bad.
You got injured by a robot.
I did.
You should write that.
Have you ever seen that commercial? It was for a health care company. We used to play it all the time because it was hilarious. And they had little kids that were talking. And there was this one little kid who said, he was talking and it's really hard to understand him because he's kind of stuttering and going back and forth. And then he finally breaks out into, you know what he did? He kicked him in the penis. He was injured bad. You got to look it up. Look up the commercial, the injured bad commercial on YouTube. It's hilarious. I'll look it up and send it to you.
Send it to me for sure.
Oh, it's Paragon. I think it's Paragon Health.
Okay. He was
it's really bad. Really funny. Yeah, he was injured bad.
That's pretty funny.
And then they had a couple other little kids on there that were talking about speaking Spanish, but one kid kept calling it speaking spinach. Yeah, it's really fun. The whole series is really funny. It's kind of, I put it up there with completely different vein of comedy, but put it up there with the Weasel, the car sales Weasel.
You mean the Badger?
The Badger. I'm sorry. The Badger, Weasel, they're the same.
No, they're not. I used to go to school at Wisconsin. It wasn't Wisconsin Weasel.
Yeah, the Weasels.
Although I would like the alliteration.
Ouch. Don't make me laugh.
I can always make you laugh with
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah. Grammar.
Yeah. All right, John. I'm going to go back to bed.
Yep, do it.
All right.
How kind of you to take time and
I had to. I miss our listeners. I know we don't really get to talk much. I get to talk to a few of them, and I have a lot of fun doing that. But it's a lot of fun to be able to share all of these foibles of our lives with these listeners. You know, all the graphic details of my surgery and all of that stuff. So
yeah, thanks for the PP story. We're all going to be
welcome
about that.
Yeah, probably. You're going to all be like my wife. Every time she gives me a bag of ice to put on my stomach, and then she cringes and she has to go leave the room because she can't look or think about it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I would do the same thing. I might whip it at you. I don't.
Just don't nay.
You catch it. Don't nay.
All right, folks, you can you're not going to hear any more about it, I promise. But if you want to talk about it or ask questions, head over to our website at PoddiMouths.com. And then from there, you can subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also
all our social stuff there, right?
Yeah, you can hit us up on social media right from there. Yeah. Pick your favorite social media and then head over there and ask us questions. We're here to answer. John answers a lot better than I do, a lot faster. So you'll probably hear from John first, but I'll come back and clean up what he's messed up. So
you're injured.
I'm injured bad.
You are. You're injured bad.
Yeah. I'm going to send that right over to you.
I can't.
All right, folks. Have a great day. Have a great week. Take it easy, and we'll see you on the 41st episode.
We'll talk to you next week, everybody. See ya.